Why does Martha think she knows more about tariffs than the Treasury Secretary of the United States? Now, I'll give it to her. She was really calm this Sunday morning. Maybe she had a nice little tea. She had a cozy blanket she woke up with on Sunday. But she still doesn't show respect to what Scott Bessent is doing and the knowledge base he has in his head with all the experience he's had so far dealing with so many countries. As in right now, you can see he's in Asia dealing with the negotiations with China. It's Sean Daniel here. If you guys enjoy these Sunday marathons, make sure you hit that like button. I know I'm an hour behind because I didn't realize that the time changed out in the U.S. I'm in Warsaw, Poland right now. Got ready to make the videos and realized, oh my God, the shows have been going for an hour now. Let's go.
I'm joined now by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who is traveling with the president in Malaysia. And Mr. Secretary, we know you have been meeting with the Chinese Vice Premier. President Trump will have a meeting with President Xi later this week. We have read this morning that you said there is a very successful framework in place now. Tell us about that, please.
Thank you, Martha. Good to be with you. So this was the fifth meeting that I've had with my Chinese counterpart, the Vice Premier, Hu Lifeng, and we covered a wide range of issues, and I think we've reached a substantial framework for the two leaders who will meet in Korea next Thursday. So, on the table, the president had given me maximum leverage when he threatened 100% tariffs if the Chinese imposed their rare earth global export controls. So I think we have averted that, so that the tariffs will be averted. And we have a regular quarterly meeting with the Chinese. It was scheduled for November 10th or before November 10th. I don't think we will have to have that. So we have been rolling the tariffs quarterly. So we agreed on that. We also agreed on substantial agriculture purchases for U.S. farmers. We agreed that the Chinese would begin to help us with the precursor chemicals for this terrible fentanyl epidemic that's ravaging our country. So I would say that it was a very good meeting overall.
And of course, it's up to President Trump. But what kind of concessions were made, especially on these rare earth minerals?
We agreed on that. We also agreed on substantial agriculture purchases for U.S. farmers. We agreed that the Chinese would begin to help us with the precursor chemicals for this terrible fentanyl epidemic that's ravaging our country. So I would say that it was a very good meeting overall.
Remember, as we start to hear more from Martha about how Trump can't do this, he needs to come to agreements, he can't throw these tariffs on other countries without checking with Congress and other things. Remember, he's basically the only person we can think of in recent years that stood up to China in any way and has gone at them with this type of a battle. Just keep that in mind, because I'm sure Martha's going to go after the fact that he can't do this, it's wrong.
And of course, it's up to President Trump. But what kind of concessions were made, especially on these rare earth minerals?
I'm not sure. What you meant is they had threatened to put a global export licensing regime, and I believe that they are going to delay that for a year while they re-examine it.
This will be the first time that President Trump has met President Xi. He says they have a very good relation, but we've also seen him say that about President Putin, and it didn't go so well. Why are you confident this will go better?
Well, this isn't the first time they met. This is the first time they met in his second term. And I think the purpose of the meeting for the past 2 days between myself and the Vice Premier was to make sure that they have a successful meeting. And based on this substantial framework from the past 2 days, I think that this could be the fantastic meeting between the two leaders. And they do have a very good relationship. It's based on mutual respect. We're the two largest economies and the two most powerful countries in the world. I've been in the Oval when the president is on phone calls with President Xi, and they show each other great respect. They iron out their differences, and but I think that we have managed to pre-game a lot of that in advance here in Kuala Lumpur. And of course, the meeting on Thursday will be at the APEC summit in Korea.
Do you guys think this is actually going to be anything that's going to breed some result between China and the U.S.? Or is it just going to be a media affair like the Trump-Putin summit we had in Alaska? Because that was talked up very well by Trump and the whole Trump team, and nothing really came of that. There's reports that Putin was telling a long historical story about the historical significance of the area of Ukraine to Trump, and he was frustrated. And as we saw, nothing really came of it. So do you guys think anything will actually come from these China talks, or is it just another media storm to make it look like there's some deal coming?
I did mean the second term. I know they have met before. The president has also said he does want our farmers to be taken care of. You did mention that China has been boycotting American soybeans, and American farmers have really suffered. Do you see a real light at the end of the tunnel there? They may allow soybeans again?
Well, Martha, in case you don't know it, I'm actually a soybean farmer, so I have felt this pain too. And there are a couple of things happening here. One, the Chinese have substantially dropped their purchases to almost zero, so they unfortunately have been using American farmers who are amongst President Trump's biggest supporters. I think he had more than 90% support. And then this was one of the biggest crops in 20 or 30 years, so it was the perfect storm. But I think we have addressed the farmers' concerns, and I'm not going to get ahead of the president, but I believe when the announcement of the deal with China is made public, that our soybean farmers will feel very good about what's going on, both for this season and the coming seasons for several years.
Who would have known that Scott Bessent, with all his money and his influence and his hedge fund managing that he did, and his billions of dollars, at least in maybe not liquid billions of dollars, but who would have known that he's a soybean farmer, that he owns a soybean farm? I'll let you guys make the jokes about that in the comments if you know about Scott.
And what more can you tell us about the additional 10% tariff on Canadian goods? Does it apply to goods that fall under the USMCA?
You know, Martha, I've been over here in Asia while all that went on, so I can't give you any specifics on that.
And today is day 26. I know you have been over there, but there has been a government shutdown here. People are suffering. Federal employees are starting to go to food banks. Any light at the end of the tunnel on that? Should the president be meeting with Democrats again?
Well, what good does it do, Martha? They've dug in. The American people are hostage to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries' poll numbers, because what's changed between now and the last time there was a clean continuing resolution is Chuck Schumer has tanked in the polls. Both of the two guys from Brooklyn, like I call them, are worried about being primaried from the left. 52 Republican senators have voted 11 times to reopen the government. 3 brave, moderate Democrats have come across the aisle. So, you know, I call on moderate Democratic senators to end this craziness. You'll be heroes. Because, Martha, what I can tell you is that we managed to find the money in the middle of October to pay our brave service members. And I think we'll be able to do it on November 1st. But we're going to be out of money on November 15th. And, you know, for a military not to get paid is a disgrace. The other thing that's happening is this is starting to eat into the economy, starting to slow the economy, and we're also starting to see there's a problem with air traffic control, so it's starting to slow down our nation's travel.
That's probably what the Democrats want. That's probably what at least Schumer wants. He really wants to be able to showcase nationwide that he's standing up to Trump. He's not giving in. He's not caving, because as we see, the really strong extreme side of the left of the Democrat Party is gaining ground. You see it in New York City. You see it the way Chuck Schumer is not really popular. And if he can show himself being strong to Trump, he's going to get a lot more positive PR, even if that means that federal workers, like maybe some of you guys, can't get paid. And I think he's just going to take this to no end, really, because he can always pin it on Trump. Show that Trump's the president, Trump has the majority. Why can't he get anyone to vote for him, to vote to get this government shut down? But remember, the senators don't want to pass the CR that the House passed. And let me know down in the comments how long you think Chuck Schumer's willing to go with this. Because it's his only way right now to show that he's a great Democrat standing up to Trump.
But Secretary Bessent, I should add that the president's party, your party, controls the White House and both chambers of Congress. You don't think you bear any responsibility for this?
Margaret, what can we do? What can we do for this desperate act that we can call on them to change their minds? Because I can tell you, the 1.5 trillion in spending that they're calling for, that's not on the table. We inherited a mess. We inherited the worst budget deficit to GDP when we weren't in a recession and we weren't at war. It was 6.4, 6.5%. We've managed to bring that down to 5.9%, and we're not going to let them be irresponsible with the budget again.
Now, if you want to see how the Democrat Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona over here tries to refute Bessent's claims about the government shutdown being all about the Democrats, check out this video right here, and I will see you there.